In this scene, Bob is in the studio recording promotional videos with a Japanese director for the whiskey he's in Japan promoting.
The first thing that I noticed about this scene is the sense of confinement created by its setting. By panning across, we can see that Bob is isolated from the rest of the people in the scene by his placement on the set, while the extras are grouped together in the dark as if they are merely spectators to the scene. We can see this divide clearly as Bob tries to observe what is happening off the stage, but is stuck to his chair. The next thing that I was drawn to was the director's lack of compassion for Bob's language difficulties. His behavior and impatience puts Bob on edge. We can see this by the way the camera is placed at a low angle for most of the shots. The camera is placed behind the director, allowing him to pass in front of the camera and block off Bob. This gives him a dominating and looming presence in the scene. While we clearly know that the translator is not translating all of the directions, we sense Bob's discomfort and confusion. As Bob seeks further instruction, the camera follows the translator as she approaches the director. This panning movement feels much like the passing down of information. We now know why the director is so short-tempered as he glances at his watch. This time, he covers most of the screen as he passes by the camera's view. There is a contrast between the harsher white light of the studio versus the calm, gentle lighting of the stage where Bob is located. This for me is very interesting as most of the tension happens within the calm lighting while the background characters are kept in shadowy backlight. At this point, Bob's body language seems almost incredulous to the situation. For a brief second, Bob's presence fills the screen and he seems serene, but we are quickly pulled out of that, as is Bob, as the director swoops in to the stage and enters Bob's personal space. There is a slight change in the camera angles being used now, as we are now seeing the director from Bob's vantage point. The screen is then filled with the director and the translator's presence, as the two sources of Bob's discomfort are literally pressing in on him. Once again, Bob is left alone on the stage and changes as he begins to act. But this doesn't last long, as he is once again pulled back by the director.
This scene is a good example of the language barriers Bob faces and is a literal example of how things can be lost in translation.